beyond the mind. Understand the self to be like a palace. And go find that large, beautifully appointed salon with wonderful, deep armchairs and beautiful sunlight pouring in through large windows. Just put yourself there. And refresh yourself.
It's amazing how our mind can go anywhere in a second.
It's amazing. It is amazing, Tamar, and that's actually its power, you know? My father could be in Glendale, Wisconsin, USA, and I can go there in a second in my mind. I can relive a memory. I can laugh at some experience with him. I can do that with my mind.
I'm still in the palace, in the armchair with a lot of sun around me. I don't know where your mind is.
It's amazing. Because as we keep saying, as is the thought, so will be the feelings.
Yeah.
Feelings are thoughts, groups of thoughts. So imagine if we make that little piece of truth work for us instead of not even consciously appreciating how often it's working against us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is our thought for today?
Yeah. Your intellect is now becoming very clear.
ובעברית, האינטלקט שלכם הופך עכשיו צלול יותר. צלול מאוד אפילו. Very clear. And I think you should start a little bit by explaining what's an intellect, because before I knew you, I thought the intellect and the mind is the same thing.
Right, right. This is the good news. There's good news and there's bad news.
Okay, let's start with the good ones and stay with them.
The good news is that there isn't just the mind in there. There are actually 3 faculties which are working to help me create my character, make my choices, my decisions, basically guide me. One of them is the mind, and the other one is my programmings and conditionings. But then there's this other one called the intellect, and it's not the academic intellectual stuff. It's in Hindi, it's called buddhi. And we know it, even though we might not have, we do have a word for it. Basically, it's my conscience, matspun, not consciousness, but conscience. That little voice which tells me, don't do that. You'll be sorry if you do that. Or, do this. It doesn't matter what other people are saying. You know that this is right. That little voice. It actually is not a little voice. It's the biggest voice in there. It is stronger than the mind, stronger than my programmings and conditionings. But like any muscle, if I don't use it, it gets weak. And if it's weak, then the director of the orchestra is weak. And so what is going to be the performance of the orchestra? In other words, both the mind and the programmings and conditionings just take over. And it's chaos.
And I think we still need to have a little bit more explanation about what is that little or big voice inside of us.
Right.
Because he knows something that it's bigger. He sees the bigger perspective.
Yeah.
He knows that across times, past and future. So there's something inside us that is being able to communicate on a different level,
Right.
or has knowledge from a different level.
Right. Often the experience of a healthy buddhi is intuition.
Yeah.
We call it intuition, but when we start working with the larger picture, there's just another logic that starts operating. You know, like we know the law of cause and effect, Newton's law, cause and effect. And then on the spiritual path, we can also know there's a equal and parallel law, not affecting matter as much as it's affecting emotion and the subtle vibration of feelings. The law of karma. As we sow, so we shall reap. There's nothing that's happening out of the blue by coincidence. Everything happening is a response of the seeds that I have sown. So the buddhi knows that. And if it were healthy, that's what would guide me next time somebody's in front of me challenging me. It would not see it as a challenge. It would see it as an opportunity to pay some karmic account here. This person is angry in front of me. Probably I need an opportunity to practice anything. I don't know, courage or assertiveness or tolerance. Even to decide what I need to be practicing, that's the buddhi. It knows. If it's healthy, it knows. It's connected to the larger picture, and it's not connected to our sense organs. So it doesn't care what the ears have just heard. It doesn't care what the eyes have just seen. It functions according to a much higher vibration, the larger picture, if it's healthy.
Yeah.
It will guide me.
Yeah, if it's healthy, and I think once we start working with it, like you said, like any muscle,
Yeah,
gets healthier and healthier each day
that's
because
right.
it's being used. And what you're saying is that the intellect, which in Hindu is called the buddhi, or we call it sometimes really intuition, is getting clearer these
That's
days.
right. That's right.
And that's interesting because it's like you're saying something that it's regarding these times, and each one feels that no matter how much he uses it, is there like an upgrade? Are we upgrading our intellect?
Originally, it's divine, and it is our entry point into the divine. It's the cord connecting us to the divine, the reality that exists beyond the physical senses. So the word I would use is we're beginning to clear it out and clean it up. Another way of talking about it is it's the tuner on your radio set. In other words, there's every station you can choose from, and you choose by turning the dial. That is when we used to have radios like that. Old-fashioned, dating myself here. But if you break that tuner, then you might very well get stuck on, I don't know, in the United States, 92.3 on AM was just loud rock and roll. And so then you're stuck with a mind that's on loud rock and roll, and you cannot tune up. So getting clearer, an intellect that's getting clearer means it's repairing itself, because it's not supposed to be stuck, number one. It's not supposed to be stuck wherever it wants, number two. It is waiting to be used. I tune it. And so maybe that's another word. It's becoming tuned.
Mm-hmm. You know, I feel we're talking about, we had in a couple of programs, we're talking about inner senses that each sense has inner senses. We're talking about languages of the thought and languages of the heart. And intuition, usually people feel it's from the stomach.
Yeah.
You know, and when our stomach is clean, like we said about the heart, when it's in its pure vibration, then we actually know what to do. And it really feels good when we know.
It feels so good. It feels so good. You know, I can give a very practical, very mundane example. Very. I mean, it's kind of embarrassing. It's so mundane, but it's true. I never used to make my bed in the morning. Never. I thought, what a superb waste of time. Nobody comes into that room anyway. It's just my room. And anyway, I'm just going to go to sleep again at night. So, like, why? Why bother smoothing the sheet, smoothing the cover, then putting on a bed cover? But at some point in my journey, I don't know where it started. Maybe, I don't know. Mommy always told me you have to make your bed in the morning. And that was my decision not to do that anymore. But maybe because I'd started rescuing this buddhi on other levels, much more subtle, actually, you know, like just listening more to my conscience about how to feel about a situation or a person. I don't know, but it must have started tuning up because I had the energy and I had the thought, make the bed. And I started doing it. And I noticed in a very short time, that's what felt right. It didn't feel right anymore to have a messy bed or a messy bedroom. So I had gotten used to chaos around me. It's not because I was comfortable in it that chaos around you is a good thing for you. But it was my comfort zone. But exercising this thing or the other, which is full of some kind of rightfulness, even eating more correctly, it tunes up the buddhi. And you look around and you start seeing that you have the energy, you have the thought to do it just a little bit better. I can do it better. I can be better. And that's a great feeling.
Yeah, and you're talking about the comfort zone because sometimes, you know, it feels right. You feel it, you live in a chaos.
That's right.
You're saying to yourself, okay, doesn't matter to me. And you live in it. And everybody knows that once they clean up their room, once they tidy, it's so much nicer. The brain goes somewhere different.
Yeah.
And even though we're used to it, something feels different.
That's right.
But I think the real question is, how do you know? Because, you know, yesterday I had, for instance, a conversation with my daughter. She came home last night late from the army. She was very tired. And she needed to come or wake up early this morning for some obligation, which she likes. She likes this obligation usually, but it wasn't right for her this morning. So yesterday you really could see how torn she was between knowing that she needs to wake up in the morning and knowing that it's not good for her this morning. And she was trying to decide. It was amazing to see because her buddhi knew that it was not good for her. And it wasn't such a big responsibility, which made a lot of hassle, but it was to say, I need that. And it was very difficult. She heard that voice and she was really torn inside. She was crying, she was tired, she was crying. But it was nice to see. And you just need to a little bit, you know, help her get in touch with the buddhi. And then, because people know when it's right for them, then it just went to the point of, so how do I communicate it outward? And it was a different kind of tone. She was connected with what she needs. She knew what needed to be done. And now the question was how to communicate it, how to you know, make it go nice and explain yourself and everything. So it's very nice to see the difference when somebody tunes in and know what he needs to do.
Yeah. You need a steady diet of rightfulness, you know. There's a reason that the Buddhi is out of tune. We've not been nurturing it. We've not been feeding it truths. So, you know, whatever is your scripture, whatever is your practice, affirmations, sacred sayings, every day, you know, to start the day like we do with some of these thoughts which feed the Buddhi, thoughts of rightfulness, which would always be nonviolent, peaceful, loving. This feeds the Buddhi. So, because otherwise you can easily fall into, well, it feels right, even though it's not. It's just a comfort zone. So that Buddhi needs food to start doing its job. But there's something else that you said that made me remember another point, which I just love. The very fact that your daughter was arguing with her own self. Inside was one voice, and there was another voice too. That's the proof that the mind is not the only thing in there. Because the mind is connected to the sense organs, and it's very influenced by the sense organs. I want to see my friends, and I want to this, and I want to that, or I have this responsibility. What will people say? What will I have to listen to? It? So the mind has all of these other awarenesses, but the Buddhi, the intellect, has only one concern, and that is to get you to do what is the greatest benefit to yourself and everyone else concerned. That's its only concern. It doesn't have another voice. So anytime you're in your own mind arguing about what you should do, understand that that's the proof that you do have an intellect. And the only thing is to make sure it's being fed good food for thought, but also exercised. You know, any muscle you break, you've got to make sure you're having, you know, calcium, magnesium, good food, but then you're also exercising it. So that's what we have to do with the intellect.
And what you're saying, I think about two things. First of all, like you said, we need to be charged. Even though when she was tired, she also heard it, but it was a different kind. But as long as we charge ourselves and get to be anyone with this practice, just being full and charged, it's easier. It's so much easier to be connected to it.
That's right.
And then the other thing I was thinking, there is a movie, it's called The Yes Day, where the parent, they have all kinds of regulation, but ultimately, whatever the kid says, it's a yes day. You know, there's a limitation of distance and money, but it's a yes day, and we do everything we want. And I thought, what would happen if we practice one yes day with our Buddhi? Just listen to it and hear if that's, you know, and hear it, you know, because people can get confused sometimes. You know, I really want to eat that cake. Is that my Buddhi?
Right.
Yeah, let's go with the cake. Let's do what the Buddhi said. Oh, no, but then you start hearing your other voices. So just listen and find and tune into that place where there's no more, like you said, there's no more arguing.
That's right.
It's you know that that's what's good for you, period.
But you're lucky if you come to that knowing, because the intellect has to be tuned up. It's gotten terribly out of tune. It's gotten terribly stuck at 92.3 AM, you know, hard rock. So it's a result of other efforts that you can start relying on that other voice. Because until you get to know and you nurture and exercise that muscle, so to speak, spiritual muscle, you don't know if that's the Buddhi or your own comfort zone talking. You just don't. It's like an experiment, and then it starts happening. And it makes life so much easier because it's like you start trusting yourself to be your own best friend. And this is needed because otherwise we're our own worst enemy in a flash. I even made my bed in a flash.
And it's so important, and we'll have to finish with that. But, you know, like you said, the good news is, first of all, we have a Buddhi. Start connecting, start
Exactly.
experiencing.
Right.
The intellect is something different than the noisy mind.
That's right.
Very deep. And second,
Exactly.
it gets clearer.
Yeah.
Working and with time these days are helping us tune it in. So,
Right. So we have a resource. Yeah.
yeah.
Excellent. Off we go. Or I should say, in we go.
In we go.
I just take a moment to enjoy the fact that inside me is great knowing, knowing what's right and what's not right, what's constructive and what is destructive. And I go and sit in that place in the company of my own divinity.
Thank you very much, Sharona.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.